There is a specific kind of loneliness sometimes that doesn't come from being alone, but from being misunderstood. Like you explain yourself and it still doesn't land, like you express your thoughts and people twist them. Like you try to be clear sometimes, but somehow you're still misread. And after a while, you start wondering, is it just me? But you see, what if misunderstanding is not always a sign that something is wrong with you? Like, what if it's sometimes a sign that something is changing with you? Because the truth is, when you start evolving mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, you don't always fit into the same language that you used to share with everyone else. And that gap between who you are becoming and how others perceive you can feel like a misunderstanding. But it may actually be growth, right? So remember, like, your inner world change first than anything else. Like every real transformations begins internally, like long before your life looks different, like your thoughts starts shifting, your standards rise and all, like your boundaries change, your awareness expands, and slowly the way that you see things becomes like different from the people around you. That is where misunderstanding begins, like not because you are doing something wrong, but because you are longer operating from the same internal framework. Like you are questioning things they are still accepting, like you are valuing things they are still ignoring it. You're seeing patterns they are not ready to see it. So you see, naturally that creates a distance between you and them. Not emotional rejections, but connective misalignment. Yeah. So you are actually evolving in a real time, like, and not everyone is evolving at the same speed, right? So sometimes growth feels like being misread, right? When you stay the same, people understand you easily. Your patterns are predictable, your reactions are familiar, your identity feels stable, I guess. But when you start growing, you see, like you become less predictable. You stop reacting the way that you used to be. You stop tolerating what you used to accept. You start choosing differently, and people who are used to your old version may struggle to understand your new one. So they interpret your growth through old assumption. They might call you distant, egotistically, or you have changed, difficult, or not the same anymore. But what they are really reacting is not your personality, actually, like it is your evolution, because growth disrupts familiarity, and familiarity is what people use to feel safe. Wait, let me just pause. Awareness changes everything. Yeah, because they're surprised if you becoming more aware of your surrounding. Like once you start seeing things clearly around you, you cannot unseen them. You cannot. Like once you start valuing your time differently, you cannot go back to wasting it the same way. Once you start understanding your patterns, you cannot pretend they don't exist. And this creates a quiet distance between you and the environments that haven't caught up yet. you're not trying to separate yourself. You're just no longer fitting it to what you used to be. And that in between stage can feel isolating because you are no longer who you used to be, but not fully understand as who you are actually becoming. This is where many people doubt themselves, but this is also where magnetic growth begins, like, because clarity often looks like a confusion to those still asleep in their old patterns, so they keep mocking or they keep saying that, oh, you're just weird and different. Yeah, when you see being misunderstood sometimes doesn't mean that we are wrong. Okay, like one of the most important rules, the truth to understand is this: like, being misunderstood does not automatically mean that you are incorrect. It may simply mean that, oh, you are early or evolving, or operating from a different level of awareness. History is full of people sometimes who were misunderstood while they are, they were growing into something bigger, right? Not because they were trying to be different, but because growth naturally creates difference. Okay, so when you change internally, your external world needs time to adjust. Like, some people will catch up, some won't catch up to you, and some were never meant to. But understanding should not automatically become a self-doubt. Sometimes it is just a signal that you are no longer operating from the same frequency as your past environment. Yeah. Why do I sound like I want to sleep? Sorry. Like, I try to squeeze my brain into thinking, in my thinking mode. Okay, so back to the topic, So you see, like, magnetic growth is quiet, but it is actually unavoidable sometimes. Like, there's something powerful about becoming someone who no longer needs to be understood by everyone else. It's powerful, really. Like, you actually become more grounded. Like, you basically become more grounded. Like, you become less reactive sometimes. Like, more selective with your energy. You stop over explaining yourself. You stop chasing validations. Like, you stop shrinking just to be easily accepted. Like, and ironically this is when your presence becomes more noticeable, because confidence without noise is magnetic. Clarity without approval is magnetic. Self-trust without, explanation is magnetic. You don't become magnetic by trying to be seen. You become magnetic by become aligned, and alignment often starts in a silence, I think. Yeah, in misunderstanding. So in moments where you feel unseen, but you know what, you just continue anyway. Yeah, because that is where real transformations take root. Not in approval, but in consistency, not in being understood by everyone else or the people around you, but in becoming undeniable. So if you have been feeling like misunderstood lately, don't rush to fix yourself. Don't shrink yourself to fit into old perspective or your old vision, your old perceptions, and don't assume something is wrong with you. Okay? Because sometimes being misunderstood is not rejection, it is actually a transition. You are becoming someone new, and not everyone has caught up to that version yet. But over time, your growth becomes visible without explanations. Your presence becomes clearer without effort. And your life starts to reflect the person that you have been quietly becoming. So I want to keep going, keep growing. Because one day you won't need them to. Okay? Okay, bye.